Mandy and I welcome you back to day 17 of 25 days of reading in Advent. We're going to learn about the birth of John the Baptist. We're going to read about the birth of John the Baptist in Luke chapter 1, starting with verse 57. When it was time for Elizabeth to have her baby, she gave birth to a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown her great mercy, and they shared her joy. On the 8th day, they came to circumcise the child, and they were going to name him after his father Zechariah. But his mother spoke up and said, "No, he is to be called John." They said to her, "There is no one among your relatives who has that name." Then they made signs to his father to find out what he would like to name the child. He asked for a writing tablet, and to everyone's astonishment, he wrote, "His name is John." Immediately his mouth was opened and his tongue was loosed, and he began to speak, praising God. The neighbors were all filled with awe, and throughout the hill country of Judea, people were talking about all these things. Everyone who heard this wondered about it, asking, "What then is this child going to be?" For the Lord's hand was with him. How exciting. I mean, they had been waiting for a child all this time. They got so old, they thought it's never going to happen. Then the Lord said it is going to happen. She got pregnant and she gave birth. I mean, it is miraculous for sure. Let's read this commentary by Pastor Evans. When Elizabeth gave birth to John, her neighbors and relatives celebrated the Lord's mercy with her. Everyone assumed the child would be named after his father, but Elizabeth insisted that he would be called John. Verses 59 to 60. When they asked Zechariah, who was still unable to speak, he confirmed it in writing. His name is John. Verses 62 and 63. At that moment, his ability to speak was restored, and he began praising God. Fear and awe came on everyone as they began to wonder, what then will this child be? And people knew something was up. I mean, first of all, this old couple got pregnant, and then Zechariah was struck dumb because he doubted Gabriel. And then now he can speak. They're thinking, my goodness, God is up to something. So let's read this commentary by Elizabeth Webb. The Song of Zechariah heralds the dawning of the light of Jesus on all who sit in darkness. Once rendered mute on account of his doubt, the father of John is now the prophet who proclaims the fulfillment of God's promises to Israel. His is a song of Advent as we wait for the light that has already come and is still yet to come. Gabriel came to Zechariah in the temple and told him of a son being born to him. Zechariah's doubt at Gabriel's words in Luke 1:18-20 parallels Sarah's laughter at the annunciation of Isaac back in Genesis 18, verses 12-15. 8 days after John's birth, Zechariah and Elizabeth take him to be circumcised, following the divine command to Abraham in Genesis 17:12. When the time comes for the child to be named, Zechariah writes on a tablet, "His name is John," 1:63. Immediately his mouth was opened and his tongue freed, and he began to speak, praising God, in verse 64. The prophecy of Gabriel is fulfilled, and Zechariah himself is thus empowered to speak prophetic words. I hope you come back tomorrow when we look at those prophetic words. Just like Mary had a song, now Zechariah has a song. He hasn't been able to speak for 9 months. That's a long time. I'm sure he wondered if he would ever speak again. And the first thing he says is that my son's name will be John, and then he breaks out in this song, praising God and foretelling what his son is going to be. So come back tomorrow. It's going to be very exciting. We'll see you then. And I would love to answer any question you may have about the Christmas story, about Advent, about faith in Jesus. Just contact me through my website, nancyjoytoyou.com. You can also email me at nancyjoytoyou@gmail.com. I hope and pray that all these readings in Advent just open your heart and mind to God and what He is doing in your life and in this world. And He did it all by sending His Son. And in a couple weeks, we're going to celebrate that. I hope you have a blessed Christmas, worshiping the King of Kings.